Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the closing bell from MarketStream.live. I am Joe Cusick from the Cusick Group, securities provided by MoneyBlock. Interesting afternoon. Fed finally came out, and it was really nothing. It was a non-event. Bottom line is the policy statement is still going to get picked through tonight, but nothing really has changed as far as their forecasts. It looks like they're still on pace to have a rate hike in December. Fed funds are pricing in a 70% probability that that still is going to occur. But again, it's not surprising that they did nothing into the November 8th election. Speaking of that, just looking at the general markets and the inline policy statement from the Federal Reserve, looks like the NASDAQ composite was down about 0.9%. Taking a look at the S&P 500, down about 0.7%, and the Dow Jones finished the day. It was the best index out there, down about 0.4%. Now, we can talk about what's happened in the fixed income market, which we've talked about pretty much all day. Yields started to back off, prices up. That safe haven trade still continues, and it's going to continue into the employment report on Friday, and we're going to continue that into the November 8th election. We're also going to see that oil's been plaguing the market with some uncertainty. We had a huge EIA report that came out, biggest build in basically 30 years. Since I've been watching this EIA report, 14 million barrels were reported as a build, and so that's a pretty enormous build. Crude continues to take it on the chin at $45, right around that level. We're going to watch that very closely. RBOB, which is the gasoline, stocks were actually drawn down. So you're going to see prices at the pump pick up a little bit, but we'll watch that closely as well, see if that impacts the consumer. There are a ton of earnings that I want to get to, but I want to talk a little bit about some of the macro components that are going to impact how we're going to look at it tomorrow morning in the overnight action. We'll review this at 8:30 Eastern time, but some of the things that you want to keep an eye on overnight are going to be the Bank of England is going to be meeting tomorrow. There should be some interesting kind of movements out there as far as what the opinions are of the Bank of England, especially as the Brexit vote internally continues to get how they're going to actually push this out there. We're going to get very aggressive. But right now, I think that there's going to be a real focus on whether or not they're going to continue the monetary policies that they have, or they're going to look for more fiscal stimulus as a tool revolved around improving the Brexit uncertainty. Watch also the PMI data that's coming out. There's going to be some interesting sentiments about that as we reported this morning in the overnight action. It seems like growth is still being forecasted by the purchasing managers. Taking a look at right now the after hours, and I really want to take a look at what's going on with the after hours. We were discussing some of the earnings that came out. Facebook came out this afternoon. Earnings were pretty solid. As a matter of fact, though, the initial stock movement at post-earnings, stock pulled back to about 123, has rebounded back to its close right around 127.18. So the stock's basically flat from its close. It was down about $2.33 today. We were pricing in. We talked about it at our Tech Talk at 3:30 Eastern, where we were expecting around a $6 move. If you actually look from high to low today, basically the 130 to 126, you're almost talking about that it's a $4 move. As a matter of fact, if you went from low after hours to high during the regular session, you're talking about roughly a $7 move, which is what we were anticipating as a potential move going into the number, as we discussed last night on the closing bell. So the options priced it in pretty perfectly, and we're going to watch that closely overnight. Facebook trading at 127. Marathon Oil reported, came in, settled at right around 1278. Stocks trading up a little bit, right around that 1286 level. Again, we were pricing in the potential as I look at it right now. Marathon was pricing in the potential to move about 32 cents, and right now it's moving about 20 cents to the upside post-market, so well within the estimated move that we're looking at going into the earnings. CenturyLink, CenturyLink right now is trading in line with its close, so earnings were in line and in line with the estimated move. The big mover, though, the one that we're watching after hours, is Fitbit. Fitbit, we were having an estimated move of around, I think it was $1.57 potentially. Fitbit closed at $12.81. It is trading at $9 right now. Basically down about almost $4 or around 27%. That's double what the estimated move was in the options. Came out, looks like their earnings, while were decent on the front line, their forecasts basically are just miserable. Stocks down basically over $3 in the after hours, trading $8.89, $8.90. So there's a significant pullback there. Going to have to pick through those earnings right now. But that's what you're seeing as far as what we were reporting on in Tech Now and also yesterday. And the earnings across the board are still in line. But we want to take a look at what's going to happen before the open tomorrow, and we're going to have some earnings announcements. This is what's going to be moving the market into the employment report on Friday, so we want to keep an eye on that. One of the biggest names that we're going to keep an eye on is Chesapeake, ticker symbol CHK. Stock's trading at 530. You know, right now the implied volatility rank is right around 24%. For those of you that don't know what implied volatility is, or IV rank, implied volatility is just a forecast of what the options market is pricing in for potential move in the underlying. So if you see an implied volatility rank of around 24%, that's telling you that the implied volatility or expectation of future violent moves is on the lower end. Anything from basically 1% to around 40%, 30% is, not a huge expectation of potential movement. Once you get over 50%, that's where the expectations increase. The estimated move for Chesapeake right now, they're pricing in the potential to move around plus or minus $1.56 from looking at the options. So that's a pretty decent move as far as a $5 stock. That's almost, so at this juncture, I would say watch the nat gap prices and also see if Chesapeake has something on the earnings announcement that could really catalyze it either to the upside or downside. Taking a look at Medical Properties Trust, MPW. Stock went out at $12.29. The implied volatility rank is at 84%. So that's in the upper echelon. It's really getting up at the highest levels as far as implied volatility or expectation of potential violent moves, either up or down in the stock. Currently pricing in the potential to move about 46 cents in this $12 stock. That's a decent sized move. We want to keep an eye on that. Level 3 Communications, LVLT. Stock went out at 53.12. The IVR, the implied volatility rank at 14%, very low, not a heightened expectation of potential violent moves. Pricing in the potential to move up or down around $1.45 into the earnings announcement. Avon Products, AVP. Stock closed at 643. IVR, implied volatility rank, right around 35%. So on that lower third of as far as expected move, it's around plus or minus 59 cents. So, a decent move as far as almost a 10% move in a $6 stock. Want to keep an eye on Avon Products tomorrow before the open and see what the earnings do. Apache Corp, APA. Stock's trading at $59.58. The implied volatility rank right now is at 28%. And so that's telling you it's, again, in the lower third. So not a huge heightened expectation of potential moves. But right now I see that the estimated move is right around a plus or minus $1.42 in this $59 stock. Pretty decent sized move. We're going to watch that one as well. And then finally, we want to look at Charter Communications. Ticker symbol CHTR. Charter's trading at 253.48 on the close. The IVR, the implied volatility rank, is at 60%. So it's now up in the upper 2/3 of that volatility rank. That means that they're expecting some potential violent moves. Specifically, they're looking at a plus or minus or potential to move either up or down around $10.76 in this $253 stock. So there could be some volatility in Charter Communications. Want to keep an eye on that pre-market. And if you want to catch up on everything on the overnight action as well as into the open, join us at the overnight action report. That's where at 8:30 Eastern Time, 7:30 Central, I will be on. We'll talk about the earnings as well as what's happened in Europe and Asia. And then at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, we'll have the opening bell where we'll talk about these movers and shakers as well as what else is going on in the market. And hopefully, we're going to be celebrating a Cubs World Series. Game 7, baby. Cannot believe it. 108 years in the making. Let's see if we make some history tonight. Take care, everybody. Have a great evening, and we will see you tomorrow in all of our segments. And we really appreciate you watching MarketStream.live. Have a great night.